Have you ever seen a really good idea or product and thought to yourself, wow, I wish I thought of that first. I could totally do that. Get ready to feel like that again, because this is the $1 Million homepage and the story of how it turned a broke 21-year-old into a millionaire in just 4 months. Plus, where he is today and what happened with that money might surprise you. This is Alex too, an entrepreneur from Wiltshire, United Kingdom. From a young age, he had always been interested in being his own person and building his own business. It started at age 8 when he would draw his own comics and sell them in the schoolyard. Unfortunately, he only ever sold 4. A few years later, when he was sent to boarding school, he sold contraband candy, and in 2002, when he finished high school, he made an odd career choice: beatboxing. He launched the world's first beatboxing forum and began touring the UK under the name A+. Yeah, so ultimately his career as a beatboxer didn't pan out, and he later sold the site to a friend. So it was back to the real world, where he enrolled in the University of Nottingham to pursue a business degree. But money was quickly becoming a big concern. He didn't have any, and the student loans looked pretty daunting. So every night he'd force himself to sit down and brainstorm ideas that would earn him money, more specifically his first $1 million. There was a ton of bad ideas, but one that shone through was the $1 Million homepage. He decided to create a website made up of 1 million pixels. Each pixel would cost $1, but you had to buy them in 10 by 10 blocks. So he would sell these blocks to advertisers for $100, add clickable links to each block, and by the end, he would have $1 million. Simple as that. Now, I mentioned earlier that Alex is from the UK, so why the $1 Million homepage instead of maybe the £1 million homepage? Alex said that US dollars are the closest thing we have to a universal currency on the internet. Oh, how times have changed. And that the £1 million homepage just didn't have the same ring to it. Plus, at the same time, £1 was equal to $1.80 USD, so hitting his goal of 1 million would have been much harder. So in August of 2005, he paid £50 to register the domain name and pushed his creation live. Now, it's one thing to have a good idea, but without marketing, the site would be useless. Why would anyone want to own a block of pixels on a site that nobody visits? So much like all of your old high school friends who got involved in pyramid schemes, Alex blasted the link to his website to pretty much everybody he knew. But it worked, and in his first weekend, he made his first sale to, in his words, a friend of a friend of a friend who ran an online music site. Over the course of the next week, he managed to sell a few hundred more pixels to friends and family. But rather than sit on his money and hope more people would discover the website, he took matters into his own hands. He wrote up a press release and then spent all the money he had earned to get it published, and it actually worked. BBC, The Register, and The Guardian all picked up on the story, and he earned $3,000 that day. Now, unfortunately, I didn't think of this amazing idea, and I make a living through YouTube, so I'd appreciate a quick tap of the like button for the YouTube algorithm. Anyway, just 3 weeks after launch, Alex had managed to sell enough to pay for all 3 years of university. Just in time, too, because he was set to leave for it just a week later. But as the days went by, things got even crazier, and one big flaw of the $1 Million homepage was beginning to show. Every time Alex got an order, he had to update the site by hand. There was no automatic process to upload the images to the site, so Alex did every single one manually. He started getting so many orders that just 3 days before he left for university, he had a backlog of over 100,000 pixels. So the day before he left, he hired a friend to do all the uploading for him, which was a very good move, because the site was getting almost 100,000 visitors every single day. But that still didn't free up all of Alex's time. He missed his second university lecture ever because he was answering urgent emails. This trend continued, and as he made more sales, he missed more lectures. But I think he made the right choice, as all his hard work landed him a press tour around the United States and an appearance on the TV version of BBC. This tour skyrocketed his visitor count, and by the time he finished his first term of university in December, 904,000 pixels had been sold. You might be wondering, who is possibly buying all these spaces? Well, just about anything you can imagine was on the site. First, there were rules behind what you could and couldn't buy a space for. Nothing offensive or any nudity, but the rules seemed to be pretty loose. There were casinos, money-making schemes, mail enlargement pills, websites to send people fake poo in a box, and of course, boobs. One of my favorite sites, though, has to be this dating site for pets. You have the option to either search for people who will date you, your pet, or both. Another good one is this Jennifer Lopez voice changer. Apparently, their software is supposed to allow you to sound like her in anonymous chat rooms. My absolute favorite though has to be the site Ling's Cars. It looks absolutely ridiculous, but it still exists. It has broken English like we live inside our car leasing website all day. There's a music video that plays on the homepage, and Ling's face is plastered all over the website. I know one thing's for sure, if I need a car, I'm going to Ling. Anyway, our main story isn't over yet. On New Year's Eve, Alex had sold 999,000 pixels, but all of a sudden, he halted sales. He decided that he would auction off the last 1,000 pixels on eBay. The auction got all the way up to $160,000, but most of the bids were made by people who never intended to actually pay for it should they win. So ultimately, the winning bid was much lower at $38,100 for millionaire.weightloss.com. But then, the website went down entirely. The day the bid ended, Alex received an interesting email. It read, "Hello, your website is under us attack. To stop the DDoS, send us $50,000. Awful English aside, whoever sent this email was serious. They did knock the site offline through a series of denial of service attacks, and it actually stayed down for about a week. Regardless though, when it came back up, the website was finally finished. The site had sold all million pixels. So what did Alex do next? Well, he dropped out of college and used a chunk of the money he had earned to move to London. Not because of the thousands of job offers he received, but because he wanted to do his own thing. But what was his thing? What could he do? He couldn't just repeat what he did with $1 million homepage, could he? Well, he did. Sort of. He started a new website called Pixel Lotto. Just like the homepage, it also had 1 million pixels, but this time every pixel would sell for $2. $1 would go to Alex, and the other dollar would go into a prize pool. Essentially, people could visit the site, click on the ads up to 10 times a day, and after the site sold all of the pixels, one of the people who clicked on the ads would win the $1 million. The site sort of flopped. It only ever got to around 150,000 before being closed, but I believe somebody did eventually win the 150K. A few years later, he launched 1millionpeople.com, where you could pay $3 to have your face placed on the website. Eventually, once 1 million was hit, Alex would print books containing everyone's face and sell them for $100 each. When he was asked how confident he was about hitting the full 1 million people goal, he said, "Very. I think it's going to fly." But it didn't, and soon after, he allowed anyone to add a picture for free and refunded everyone who bought a space. That still wasn't enough to fill up all the spaces, and the project closed down soon after. After this, Alex kinda gave up on the idea of get-rich-quick type schemes and focused on building legitimate businesses. His $1 million homepage money was dwindling away on life expenses, especially after not having a real success in over half a decade. He struck out a few more times before landing on his most successful idea yet. In fact, a lot of you have probably heard of it. Calm, a meditation website and app. He got laughed out of a few meetings with potential investors, but ultimately he scrounged up the money to launch it in 2012 and saw near immediate success. Today, the company is valued at over $1 billion, and I see ads for the app all the time. But you might be wondering, what is the $1 million homepage doing today? Well, it's still up, but it's slowly disappearing. Over a third of the website's links don't work anymore, or if they do, they redirect you to spam, scams, or in some cases, a website that has the domain name for sale. There's actually quite a few of them, so if you want to be part of the $1 million homepage, you still can, but it might cost you a few $1,000s, or in some cases, 5 million. In my opinion, that's not even the worst one. Pixeloodle is a domain available not just for sale, but for lease. How is this what the internet has come to? You're supposed to lease cars, not domains. Anyway, the site also has a ton of black space with the letter R inside it. Those are spaces people purchased but never actually decided to use. Alex has considered reselling these spaces in the future, so who knows? Maybe one day the homepage will return. Except it sort of has returned in some form. When something is successful, there's going to be a lot of copycats. There were a ton back when Alex launched the website, and there's still actually quite a few today. The most interesting one I've come across is the $1 Million Token page, a website where you can purchase blocks to display your Ethereum NFTs. Much like the copycats back in the day, it's not nearly as successful. One thing's for sure though, I doubt this is the last time we'll see the $1 Million homepage recreated. If you like this video, you'll probably like the one I made about Flappy Bird's creator. His game turned him into a millionaire, but also ruined his life. Check that video out on screen right now.